and welcome to OnPoint, a podcast by Oak Street Funding, where we sit down with industry leaders to bring insights to the topics you want to hear about. I'm your host, Keara Bradley, VP of Strategic Markets here at Oak Street Funding, and let's get on point. Today, I'm joined by Michael Young, President and Managing Partner at Integrated Advisors Network, and we're going to be discussing Michael's growth journey to how he got to where he is today. We'll touch on using capital for smart growth, differentiating in the market, different buy-in strategies, and more. Michael, thanks so much for joining me.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
To start us off, just tell me and our listeners a little bit more about yourself and your path to where you are today.
Sure. So, as you said, I am President and Managing Partner of Integrated Advisors Network. We're a registered investment advisor based in Dallas, Texas, servicing the independent market. My career has been in the industry for quite a while. I started with a regional clearing firm here in Dallas in the early 90s. Worked my way through the back office out onto the trading desk. So I learned the business from the back side of the business, meaning I saw the operational side before I went out onto the equity trading desk and was an equity trader up until the mid 2000s. The change in pricing, so going from fractions to decimals, kind of changed the wholesale business that I was in. And at that point, I bought part of an independent broker dealer that was also based here in Dallas. That's where I learned to start servicing independent advisors, at that time, primary brokers. But we started our first RIA in 2005 inside of that company. So we began to learn about the hybrid space and supporting the fee-based model where we are today. So fast forward in 2014, I sold my broker dealer and sold my RIA and joined my friend Jeff Groves and his founding partner Linda Pix in the launch of Integrated Advisors Network, which was born out of Jeff's compliance consulting firm to, again, service advisors that were looking to make a move to independence, but maybe didn't want to actually have to run all of the bits and pieces of their own firm. So that's kind of my path of how I got to Integrated. It's been fun. It's been a very interesting 11 years inside of the growth of Integrated, and so I'm real excited about what the future looks like.
That's great. And now that you have all of this experience in different places in the market and you've spent 11 years at Integrated, how would you say both yourself and Integrated Advisors Network differentiate yourselves in the market?
So as an independent firm, our true differentiator is the fact that we are independently owned. We are not backed by an equity partner or anyone that we're trying to drive a return on investment for other than ourselves. So we're really about answering to our advisors. So that is our first place that we sit. So we are always looking towards that happiness factor for our teams to be able to provide great service and results to their end clients. And so that is part of what makes us a little bit different. So we support different business models, so entrepreneurial-minded advisors and how they want to promote their brand and service their clients. We feel that we've built a institutional class platform for them to operate on. And with that, from our technology partners to our custodial partners, and now even with our capital partner here with Oak Street. So this is, we've really been focused on sustainable growth, but also very pragmatic about that. So we are kind of selective. We really understand who our ideal advisor is, and we really look to service and grow with those type of advisors. Most of them are driven by organic growth internally, where we are supportive of that, and are always looking for that join scenario that kind of matches into the culture that we've built.
Yeah, love it. Now, Oak Street is a capital partner of yours, so take our listeners through your journey. How did you decide that you initially wanted to use capital?
Yeah, as we launched the firm, we bootstrapped it. I mean, we did a lot of the work ourselves. We did it very lean, a very flat org chart from that point of view. We launched as a virtual firm, basically. I have sat here in Dallas, as I said, since the early 90s. Jeff and Linda were both located in Southern California, and our first teams that joined us were also all the way from East Coast to the middle of the country to the West Coast. And so we launched inside of that platform to where um, our footprint was national and our operations were basically virtual. So as we matured and as we grew into needing to scale more, we started to look at what our funding options might be. And I think we came to Oak Street in 2019 in our first conversations there, and we're looking for expansion capital at that point. So we put in permanent financing with Oak Street at that time to add staff, which we doubled our staff in 2020, right before COVID, or kind of during COVID almost. So the plans were being laid with that, and that was really what was our initial driver, was around that growth of our team and our desire to continue to build on our technological footprint as well. So we wanted to be sure we were making the right investments in people and the right investments in technology partners, so we could take it, continue to provide the right service and solutions for our advisors so they could drive results to their end clients.
It's great that you were able to use good, responsible debt to help with organic growth and to really help Integrated get to where you are today. Now that you are where you are, what's next for your business? How do you foresee debt impacting the future of your business?
Yeah, so we also took advantage of the opportunity after putting in some permanent financing to take out a working line as well. And so that gives us the flexibility as we see certain initiatives. So for instance, this year we've gone through a refresh of our own brand and started to refine some of our own recruiting practices that as the marketplace for independent firms has continued to get more crowded, and that there are different stories and different solutions for all advisors, from full M&A transactions to joint solutions like us to just the old school transition that took place from hybrid IBD to hybrid IBD, and capital that may go along with that. So we have started to look towards using some of that working line to secure a database, to enhance what our CRM solutions are internally, to begin working towards a marketing campaign. We've upgraded our marketing firm. We work with a firm that specializes in financial services firms, understands our story, and really is going to help us communicate it. And so with that, obviously there's capital investment that needs to be made in those type of solutions. That's where we've started to see, and the Integrated story for the first 10, 11 years was really referral based. We've really never gone to market with our own brand. And so now we want to be part of that conversation, to where advisors that are seeing lots of different headlines may need a little different story, and we think we fit that story. And so using debt allows for us to be flexible, and with the type of growth that we have had and continue to put in place, it's sustainable. We're able to model better. It becomes something that makes sense. Whereas potentially we may lose alignment if we were to look for an equity partner per se. They may be aligned with what their ROI is driven on, where we really want to be aligned with our advisors. So having flexibility for our next growth plan, having a debt partner, it makes a lot of sense. Also with that, as we're working towards succession planning for some of our other advisors, it may make sense for us to explore other options with Oak Street of how we potentially do succession planning internally to help that advisor move towards retirement and monetize to where we're able to build out our own next gen set of advisors that can step in and service those clients. So I think there's a lot of flexibility in using the way that we've approached debt in a very pragmatic manner with good guidance from here at Oak Street.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we have a good idea of how Integrated has used capital for growth, you mentioned how aligned you are with your advisors, and you obviously know that a lot of your advisors are driven by more internal organic growth. So other than acquiring, how can your advisors use capital for smart growth?
So I think we had a conversation about this a few weeks ago at our annual conference. So you can help me remember some of the ideas that you brought to the
Yeah.
table as well. Um, so when it, I think an advisor needs to be sure that they're looking at debt and looking at any capital partner for that matter for the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really comes to that balance of, all right, where do I need to this investment? So I have maybe plateaued, but I want to achieve more growth. What is the right employee that I need to hire? Is it different administrative staff, or is it a junior member to come into the team? And how do I want to plan for that expense as they maybe bring their book up to speed? So I think that there are opportunities that advisors may have in their own practice to not be acquisitive, not go out and acquire business,
Mm-hmm.
but partner with, maybe it's a coach, maybe it is making the right marketing investment like we've made here at Integrated, and maybe it's the acquisition of a list, or maybe some type of different marketing approach that they do, or maybe it's as simple as beginning a campaign or events that require a little bit of capital outlay that may have a longer return. And so a little bit of funding on the front end makes sense. That doesn't necessarily give up part of your equity. So that's,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, we talked a lot a couple weeks ago, not that long ago at all,
Yeah.
about organic growth for advisors and really using that as a system. And so a lot of the things that you named are little things you can help with systematic growth to put your firm in a spot where they are ready eventually to look externally for things like acquisition. Another use of capital we see a lot is for partner buy-in. So can you maybe talk us through the dynamics of changing owners and driving strategies with different amounts of buy-in?
Yeah. So we've done one transaction internally inside of Integrated, and it was more about internal succession. So as I mentioned, I have two partners. In 2024, Jeff decided to move towards retirement, and with that, wanted to sell a part of his ownership inside of Integrated. And as we went through the valuation process and worked with that third party, we always knew that there would be um, an analysis at the end of, does it make sense for myself and Linda to actually write a check? Does it make more sense for us with the change in the distribution structure and the way that our company works? Would that potentially cover the use of debt to fund that transaction? And working with our consultant, and then also obviously with the team there at Oak Street, we were able to determine that it made more sense for us to use debt to finance that. So Jeff got his payment, and Linda and I, with our change and increase in ownership, we were able to cover our note service basically through our increased amount of distribution. And I thought that was a really neat way. I mean, so it was money that we had not received, so we're not missing anything.
Right.
And so it makes a lot of sense to be able to use, the bank's money at the right cost.
Right.
And, knowing that our ability to execute our business plan was going to continue to move forward in our own growth. And so that it made a lot of sense. Having a commercial lender works really well in this type of situation for us. I mean, I was thinking about our conversation, and I was trying to think of maybe an interesting way to put it. So if you've ever gone to Best Buy and bought, a piece of, maybe a new large TV or something like that, and they offer you the 18 months same as cash deal. And if you set yourself up, I mean, we're all in the financial services industry, we know how to budget. You can actually use somebody else's money while you have your money working. So, it becomes that same kind of deal, is like, all right, I'm going to make sure it's all paid off and done, and I'm going to use their money while I can earn more money invested or in other places. So the same things happened in this type of transaction for us. So it's just kind of like using the bank to help with that. So
Yeah. Yeah, and using the distribution, something that you didn't already have, to pay back the debt while leaving what you did have being your investments and your personal liquidity. You got to leave that in place and
yep,
continue to grow, like you said.
exactly. Yeah.
So you've done a number of transactions with Oak Street, and our relationship goes back to 2019, as you said. So take our listeners back to the beginning. How did you originally hear about Oak Street Funding?
So when we started to look for a funding partner, there were a couple options at that time, and I I want to say that we probably found Oak Street at a conference. I don't know if it was a TD Link or if it was a Schwab Impact, or something where Oak Street was there as one of the vendors, one of the sponsors, and just having conversation and learning about the offering that Oak Street had versus the other lenders that we were aware of in the space. So it was, kind of comparing that SBA type of lending that may have existed and may have been a little more common from a headline standpoint to
Mhm.
where Oak Street was. I honestly can't remember how long you guys have been doing this, but I mean, it was a focus and you understood our industry and you were more of a commercial lender that made a lot more business alignment with what we were
Yeah.
trying to achieve as the type of firm that we were. So it
Yeah.
really was, it was the, it was the team there that we met at a conference and just made that great connection with Susie and the rest of the team there at Oak Street, and the personalities just aligned.
Well, we're grateful for the partnership over the years for sure.
In any of the transactions that you've done with Oak Street, do you have an example you can provide to our listeners where you felt the Oak Street team went above and beyond to deliver for your organization?
I mean, not specifically as far as a transaction at some exact moment in time, but I think that the Oak Street team has gone above and beyond just through the education process. We entered this in we don't know what we don't know type of approach. And there's just was such a great personal connection and an understanding of our industry that just made us really comfortable with the banking experience there at Oak Street. So, the gathering of information, it made sense. It was actually easy to communicate. The technology that Oak Street uses for us to be able to work back and forth. If something was incomplete, it wasn't, it was like, here, you need to kind of like structure this a little different, or maybe this is the other piece of information we're looking for. It's through the whole process, be it the application process, the underwriting process, the funding process. It just was always, it made sense. It worked well. And it continues to today. I mean, I value my partnership with Patty and the rest of the team and just doing my quarterly reporting. I mean, it's all just, it's seamless. It's easy. I know I can get in touch with leadership if there's a question that comes up or a need. I mean, you and I have had great conversations, as well as kind of thinking things that we're going to use going forward as we continue to work on integrated 2.0. So as a specific example, it was easy. I mean, it's really been easy. It's again, from the application all the way to the document production, the review, the communication, going through the transaction in 2024 to do something that was different with the ownership change. That was really, that was a good learning experience as well. That wasn't painful. The ability for the Oak Street team to work well with our outside, consultant that we've brought in for the valuation, the streamlining of documentation between both parties, showing up with something that was kind of bank ready as far as the documentation that we needed from our deal on our side that made sense to Oak Street. So yeah, just the communication's been great. Big fan.
Great. Well, we're so glad
Obviously.
that it's gone so well. As you think to the future, if and when integrated does have more opportunities for maybe assisting retiring advisors or anything else that comes your way, do you think you choose to do business with Oak Street again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is um, I feel like a huge cheerleader today. It's like that's such a, it's a very loaded question on your side, or good bait for me to just go, yes, of course. The team's been great, and like I said, the focus that Oak Street's had on our industry, and understanding the business models of advisors really makes the cash flow lending that you guys practice with a firm like ours, that makes a lot of sense. And so it keeps, yeah, I don't know why we would change. And it's it's been a really good partnership and continues to be, and I don't see why it wouldn't be in the future.
Well, we're great to hear that. And again, we've really valued your partnership over the last several years. We love going to your conferences. We love your team. We really love what Integrated has going on, and we see how different you are from the rest of the market. And I appreciate you joining us today. I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners did as well.
Yeah, it was great to be here. I love the opportunity to tell the story. I really enjoy hopefully educating advisors how to think about things a little bit differently than what they see in a headline, and to really think about how to, you know, really focus on their growth, be smart about their growth, and then really have that capital conversation second and smartly and plan it really well. So yeah, it was really great to be here. I really, as I said earlier, I appreciate our relationship. I appreciate um, the the confidence that Oak Street has in our business, and really the partnership that you guys provide us with on a on our conference, but also really in our day-to-day business. It's really great. So thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. And thank you all for listening to On Point, a podcast by Oak Street Funding. I'm Keara Bradley, and tune in next time as we get on point with other industry experts. Don't forget to rate and review on Spotify, like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram for more insights and behind the scenes content. See you next time.